Cece, I feel like everyone talks about the whole biological clock for women. You know, that time is coming where you can or can't have babies.
Yes.
Do you feel like that plays on your mind at all, or do you feel like it's people talking about it that affects you more?
So I think the friendship circle I have all had babies quite late. So it's never really been... I've never felt the pressure. Plus, my family just know not to ask. I think you have to have like the person first. Like until I get a boyfriend, I think then that question might come up. But at the moment, their question is, so how's dating life? So I don't really feel it, and I think because I've never been that person that is desperate to have children, I have probably felt it less.
Yeah.
I will say, though, the older I'm getting, I'm starting to get really broody.
Are you?
Yeah, and I didn't expect this. I'm a little bit like, no, off you go, not now. But yeah, I'm starting to notice it. I think because all my friends have had kids now, so I've had to adapt to this lifestyle of like holding children and just wanting to squeeze them. So I'm definitely feeling different about it.
Well, I don't think our guests today are going to help you with that at all, because I feel broody and I don't want any more kids, because we've got Katie and Steve in today and baby Jack. Baby Jack is our first baby on the pod.
This is a big deal.
Hi, Jack.
Hey, Jack.
So baby Jack is desperate to get hold of the microphone.
I feel like we're going to hear lots of squeaking and noises.
Yeah,
this one. So it's not us, it is baby Jack.
But before we get into how baby Jack came to be, we always kind of ask two questions at the top of the podcast. Cece, do you want to ask the first one?
So what would if you think about before this lovely situation happened, what were your green flags? If we start with you, Katie, what was your green flags when you were looking for a partner?
Well, I think I was one of those people that always knew I wanted to have a family. So if someone had so I did loads of online dating. I'm sure this will come out in the conversation, but I did it for years. And so I was always looking for someone. If their profile said they didn't want children, then I wasn't interested.
Yeah.
But green flags, I think I just wanted someone that was nice and kind and that I had stuff in common with and a similar taste in music. Like I can remember going on dates and people being, I'm not going to mention any bands that I don't like, but mentioning some bands, and I'd be messaging my friends going, oh my God, they like this. Like, what are we going to do? And they're like, run away. So yeah, just some things in common, but kind of wanting the same things out of life, I think. Yeah.
Well, Jack, you've told us what you want. What about you, Steve?
I think for me, I wanted somebody who liked dogs.
We like dogs.
Yeah. I think it's really important because it says, to me, it says something about the person. It's like if you like dogs, like, I'm not saying that cat people aren't nice as well, but generally dog people are really nice.
We have a dog at home as well, which is like our, it's like our
It
toddler.
was the trial run for the boy.
Fully in.
Yeah.
And what about icks then? Is there anything that like would really put you off?
Oh my God! So I could write the book on icks,
Oh.
like with all of the online dating.
Give
and
us your
stuff
like
that I've done.
oddest or most like specific.
Oh, the unsolicited dick pics.
Oh yeah, that's always
God.
It's always
Yes.
fun.
Yeah. I got one a year after a date with a guy. One date. And a year later, like...
He thought, she might want to see my penis today.
Yeah.
Do you think
that's
you're
nice.
not just like, what do you think that
Sent
was
it
about?
all.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest ick.
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Steve,
have you got any icks?
I don't know. I mean, again, like you were saying, I just want somebody I can get on with, really. Do you know what I mean? I don't have any kind of crazy kind of stuff. But again, certain films, are definitely kind of, because I'm a movie kind of guy, then if they'd have been like, actually, I really love Richard Curtis movies, or like something like that, I might have had a bit of a problem. But.
Okay.
He's a movie
I like
snob.
that.
Okay, then I want to know what your favourite movie is.
The one I would give everybody is probably 12 Angry Men, because it's amazing, it's an incredible piece of art, but the truth is Raiders of the Lost Ark, because
The dog's called after Indiana Jones. She's called Indy.
Oh, I love Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no! Have we annoyed you already?
Am I not letting you touch the microphone?
Oh,
I'm so
Bubba.
Do you want me to have him? Because he
If you
might
don't
be a
mind.
little bit
Yeah.
further away from my
Yeah.
mic. Let's see how
You
it
can't
goes.
do
and
it.
then-
Yeah. If not, we can... it can be a brief appearance.
Well, while Baby Jack is doing the rounds, Katie, why don't you tell us about your background of sort of where did Baby Jack come from? How did it all start? What were you doing before? Like, what was the dating scene? Because you mentioned that the apps were...
I was doing the online dating thing for a really long time.
Yeah.
Like, 11 years before I met Steve, and not constantly, like that's exhausting, but on and off. And it's really hard work, I think. Like, I don't know. And I feel like the wise old lady of online dating now, because I did it for so long, but it changed a lot in the time that I was doing it. And when I first signed up, you'd send actual emails where you would like look at someone's profile and find things that you had in common and actually try and have a chat. And you'd have a couple of days turnaround, and then it got all instant messaging and stuff. So kind of it was like necessary to kind of always be on and always replying. So I did it for a long time, and I met some nice people, but no one ever serious. And then I went on some awful dates as well, like, you know, and they were just the ones where they were just nice, and you just turn up and you know instantly that they were not someone that you had a spark with. Yeah. But you had to at least have a couple of drinks.
Sounds like a lot of admin.
Yes.
It's so much admin, and it got even more admin, like the more people that signed up, because you're then in a bigger pool of people. But in saying that, I did meet Steve online. So
you did meet online?
We did meet online. We'll get to that. But, and I think I got to the point where I was so tired of it. I woke up the morning after my 40th birthday party. So the hangover had cleared. And I thought, do you know what? I want a family. And I have really tried with the dating. And I'm probably coming across a bit desperate. And that's not very nice for anyone.
Do you feel that? Do you think that was actually coming from you, or do you think it was just where you were at wanting it?
I don't know, because I don't know whether I felt that confident to start with. And then when you are dating for that long and you're not meeting anyone, then you start to question what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes think, like, are my standards too high? Am I being too picky?
Yeah.
Is it me?
My friends told me I was too picky.
Yeah.
You know, they were like, oh, your problem is the grass is always greener. And I was like, yeah, but this is someone that I want to be with forever and I want to have a family with.
Yeah.
So I feel like I should be picky.
Yeah.
Maybe I was. And, you know, maybe some of the people that I met along the way could have been something if I'd kind of been in the right place. But yeah, I thought, I'm 40 now. I can't really hang around any longer. So I decided to do it by myself.
So explain what that.
Yeah,
so do it
that's
by
such a
yourself.
big
Like,
decision.
So become a solo parent with a sperm donor. And a friend of a friend had done it. But I met her when she was pregnant with her second child.
Second on her own?
On her own.
Wow, that's
I was like,
amazing.
oh my God. Like, you can see how much a handful he is. Like, I was just like, I don't know how I would have done it. And my mum said this to me this morning. She's like, I don't know how you would have done it, Katie, but I guess you would have just
would have, yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite a big decision to come to on your own. And I suppose, did you feel like when you made that decision, do you feel like everyone understood, or did you feel like there were some people that were like, what are you doing?
My friends were great. Like, they were like, yeah, do it. Absolutely. Like, I'm sure it's going to be hard. But I didn't really share it with my family because I think they might have. I tell my mum eventually, but I think I wasn't very open with it. And probably some of them won't know this until they listen to the podcast.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, because I was like, and I think I was probably not sure that I could do it.
do you
or
think
that
that's
it would actually happen.
Okay, as in you thought that you couldn't be a single parent, or okay.
Whether I could manage. And, you know, I kind of plan and, you know, I research and that's what I do. So I'd done all the kind of looking into how much money I would need and what childcare would cost. And
so you thought it through, like you properly, yeah.
And I think, and this is the sad bit, my dad died, and that was quite sudden. And I always thought that I couldn't afford it. And then suddenly I had an inheritance from him, which meant that I could afford it, but I didn't have him.
A blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I remember the moment where I realised, oh my God, I probably have enough money to do this. Because fertility treatment on the NHS, I don't even know if you get it as a single person, but you certainly don't get it commonly when you're over 40, which I was at the time. So I thought, wow, actually, I can do this. And I went to see the doctor and she said, if you want to do this, do it now. Wow. She was really firm. She was brilliant. But she was like, your fertility declines like at such a massive rate. So if you want to do it, you've got to do it now. And so I started the process and I signed up with a clinic, and I've got quite an extensive medical history. So there was quite a lot of tests and stuff to do. And then a friend of mine met someone, and she was like my single partner in crime. And she'd been single for a really long time as well. She'd done the kind of rigmarole of online dating. And then she met someone and I got really jealous. And I was like, I can't be left. Like, like you're the only one left. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it one more time. And there's like, it doesn't matter because it's not going to work because it never has. And, you know, I'd stopped and started before. And then I met Steve. And then I was like to my friends, how am I going to tell him what I'm doing?
So you'd already started this process and thought, I'll go on a date, and then that's what you got to explain.
Yeah, because like 11 years of unsuccessful dating, I was like, this is never going to work.
What app did you meet on? I need to be getting on this app. Which app was it?
Bumble. But I've been on Bumble before. But the good thing about Bumble is that the woman has to make the first move.
Yeah.
So you're less likely to get the rubbish stuff from the guys.
And what do you think? So there must have been a different mindset between the build up to the decision of having a child on your own and then going back on the dating apps. Do you think you were giving off a different energy at that point? Was it like you cared more or cared less?
I cared less.
You cared less.
You had other things going on, and you kind of made a choice by that point, I suppose.
Yeah, so that's what one of my friends said. There's some kind of saying like life happens when you're making other plans.
Yeah.
And I think probably I was more relaxed because I knew that I wasn't looking for a baby daddy.
Yeah.
And that takes the pressure off. Like, it's going to be pretty hard for a guy. I'm sure I gave off desperate energy.
So you could just be you.
Days.
This is it. I'm me. This is what I'm doing. If you like it, great. If you don't, it doesn't matter.
I could be really confident in that as well.
Were you genuinely like, I'm going to meet someone, and if they don't want what I've already started, then
I
they
didn't
can
think
go.
I would meet anyone. I thought I would go on some really boring dates.
Yeah.
And which is what has happened for like most of my like dating life.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think I would meet anyone. I really like my experience was, I was the single one in my friends. That was my identity. And finding someone and having a family and settling down is something that doesn't happen to me. That's just not in my story. So I never thought when I signed up again that I would meet anyone.
And then he came.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Steve. Some sort of like knight in shining armour. I'm definitely not that.
Where were you at this point then? Before you guys matched on Bumble, what was going on with you?
So I'd come out of a 13-year relationship, and it was kind of it was a tough. And I'd given it some time because I thought I don't want to get involved now. There's no point me kind of coming in off the rebound and stuff like that. And then after about 8 months, a year, something like that, I thought, okay, well, I've got to work out how you do this nowadays.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of looking at the apps and stuff, and I thought, okay, right, Bumble seems like the least gross way of doing it. Do you know what I mean? It seemed like a nice kind of like, it seemed like the friendlier kind of like approach, like allowing other people to kind of like.
I was going to say, and as a guy, that's probably quite. It's often not that way around where the woman makes the first move, so it's probably quite nice.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I suppose it takes a lot of pressure off kind of me and stuff like that. So I put a profile together. So I went away with my brother to Amsterdam, and he was taking all the photos for my profile of me sort of hanging around in Amsterdam looking at
love that.
And then I went home as well, and my niece was taking ones of me when she's like, I don't want to do this. What am I doing? It's really weird. And then she was taking photos of me like out on my bike and all this sort of stuff.
Like represent a hobby.
Yeah,
I think that's amazing. I'm saying this because I've got a lot of single male friends who find the hardest part taking photos because they don't want to be like, mate, do you mind just taking a photo of me for a dating app? It's quite intimidating, right? It can be quite a process.
Yeah, my brother just found it hilarious. So he was like, he was just kind of like taking the mick most of the time.
I love this and the effort behind it.
I know, because also like it's a big thing, right? Yeah. Like they say a lot about you. Like if you don't put a good one up, no one's
gonna. And you've got to kind of like represent what you kind of like. You've got to put forward your kind of like best face, but also you've got to be a realistic representation of what you actually do. Because otherwise, you don't want to be advertising under false pretenses. Because there's no kind of, you won't get back what you want from that. You know.
Yeah.
If only everyone thought like you.
You'd be like
probably
Steve.
why you stood out.
And so I put that up, and I kind of flicked around with it and kind of had a look at stuff and things, and then I got a message from Katie, and I kind of checked her profile out.
What can I ask? What was the first message? How did it go down?
Oh, I can't remember.
Oh, because I put something about going to see films because obviously I'm a big film nerd, and you were like, well, what film are we going to go and see?
Oh,
yeah.
I love that. Oh, I like this a lot.
And I was talking about, obviously, like I didn't quite know what to answer that because do you mean stuff that's out now, or do you think is this a segue into like what's your favourite film? So I said, if we're going to watch a classic film at the BFI or something, then it's going to be this. It's going to be Rear Window.
I love that you remember all this.
I know.
Oh my god, yeah, no,
I don't remember it. It's just
Same
all of the
brain.
others.
and then the other ones like modern. I think because Us was out at that time, the Jordan Peele film.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a horror fan as well, so I was like, oh, Us is out. Like, this is really good. Yeah, I kind of checked her profile out, and the thing that completely sold it to me was there's an amazing photo of Katie with a dog when she's whereabouts are you? In Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
like just holding onto
A
this puppy,
puppy.
and I'm like, okay, right, she's
Sold.
And there was this
Yeah.
expression on my face of like sheer
pure
joy.
like pure joy. And I was like,
like,
okay, yeah,
oh my
no,
god,
that's
I'm
good.
holding a puppy.
We
Okay.
like dogs here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from there, obviously, then you learn the situation. You learn that Kate's going through this process. So how did that conversation happen?
Which
Were
date
you
was
comfortable
that?
having it,
Yeah.
firstly, Katie? And what did that look like?
I mean, it was obviously quite daunting.
Did you kind of get it out there straight away?
Well, I thought because it's a hard thing to like position like when you do it. Because like if I say it too early, do I seem too keen? Or if I say it too late, have I like led you
Yeah.
So I think it was date 6, wasn't it? So maybe like
Okay, so
5
it was
or
a
6
few in then.
Yeah.
And did
I
you
think-
kind of know before that point that you, to each other, you were something different from the others you'd met?
But I mean, I mean, I'll put this out there. Katie's literally the only date I went on. Like I didn't date other people at all. Kate was the
Okay.
first person I met, like on a Bumble, and like that was. I was
But
like,
did
yeah,
you
no,
know?
no, yeah. I mean, like, of course.
Good answer.
Did
Yeah,
you?
right
So I know
answer.
this, but it's quite interesting because I think men and women, we develop feelings at different stages. Generally, the women start, and then the men take a while to catch up. And then when the men are in, it's like we're like, well, we just need to figure out if we're sure now. And there's this weird process. So it's quite interesting that you knew. Did you know, or you just being polite?
I think initially we went on those kind of few dates, and everyone I was like, okay, if I'm going to keep going until there's a point in which I go, oh, actually, this. Maybe we're not compatible or whatever. And that just never came. Like, there was never a point where I was kind of like, oh, no, this doesn't really work. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, it was just good all the way along.
And you asked about red flags, and I don't think I had any. So
Have you
I
got
think
one
that-
now?
At the time, like I can remember him walking in on the first date, and I just was relieved. So I was like, I don't immediately know that I don't like you.
Oh no, because I think on our first date I said, we'll turn up at the cinema and like we'll do like 45 minutes before, and I was like, in case you think I'm a weirdo.
Yeah.
Like, and
Like
which
you
is I
gave
was
me
like,
an out.
and I said in the message, like, if you want to go before the film, like I'll understand. Like I don't.
That's so
mind.
nice.
Can everyone take advice from this? Please.
But
I like
again,
this.
like I think it's the thing of like people. There's so much pressure on it to be like perfect and all this sort of stuff. But if you're not compatible with somebody, that's all right. It's not your fault or their fault or anything.
So then how did the conversation go then?
I think I remember this because I planned, like I like rehearsed it, and I talked to my friends about what I should say, and I said, so on your profile you said you might want children. I definitely want children, and so much so that I'm already like going through the process of becoming a solo mom, and I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Just so you know. And I'm not asking you to be like the daddy or anything. And if you want to, if you're not up for it anymore, that's fine. If you want to just keep doing this while I'm doing that, then that's also fine. And he's like, yeah, all right.
Really?
Like,
Was
so
it like
nonchalant
that?
about it.
What was going through your head though when she said it?
I was approaching 40 at the time. Like, I wanted kids, but I wanted them with the right person. I wanted to be somebody who shared the kind of similar life outlook and similar kind of ideas about raising kids and all that sort of stuff. And so far, like, Katie had seemed all that stuff. So I just said, like, no, it's cool. We'll keep going. Again, we'll keep going until it's not right for one of us. So,
Oh
and
my God, that's
here we
such
are.
a big and beautiful decision.
It really is.
It's like, I've got so many questions, but also I get it at the same time, because when it's
Yeah.
right, it's right.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
there's no buts, in fact. I just think it's so great. I really do. Like, massive respect to you both. I really
but
think...
respect to him. Like, there are so many men that would have run a mile.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I am incredible.
Okay, let's take a break.
I was just trying to keep it so cool and like engaged in the conversation. Meanwhile, Jack was trying to eat the plant next to me.
I saw this going down. I have to say, you did a very good job of still talking, playing with the baby. You mastered the whole thing.
But I just love babies so much. I was like, I don't want you to take him from me, so I'm going to do a good job. But I also need to do a podcast. So love having a baby on set. Next time we need a puppy.
Yes. What point did you then decide that? Because obviously
he was going to be the dad.
Yeah. How did that,
this gets a bit.
Oh.
I mean, I can't. So I think I invited him. I said I'm gonna go to this, and I nearly I tried to look it up, but I couldn't find it. But I screenshotted a text message where I said, "I'm going to this appointment. You're welcome to come, but you don't have to. I'm really used to doing these things on my own." And he replied, "You don't have to do these things on your own anymore."
Steve.
Oh, see, I don't remember that one.
Stop
but,
it.
I've got it somewhere. I definitely screenshotted it at the time because I sent it to my mates. I was like, oh my God. And so he started coming along to the appointments. And then like when you do IVF, you can have like fertility tests to start with. They call it like a fertility MOT. And I think I was like, well, how do you feel about it? Do you want to? And I was like, but this is so soon in our relationship. And bearing in mind that probably I was a bit of a commitment phobe, and that's probably why it took me so long to meet someone. I was like, what if it doesn't work out? And he's like, well, we'll co-parent. I was like, oh, ka-ching.
So can I just
Oh my
clarify, because this is all the terminology is something that I'm still learning about. So is the IVF the part that you do together, or is it IVF the part you're doing on your own?
So the bit that you do on your own is you get a sperm donor, and then how they put the sperm and the egg together is different. So you can have, there's loads of acronyms. So IUI is where they just inject you kind of.
Right. Okay.
And you can have like medication, or you can have not medication. And then IVF is where they put them in the same petri dish. And then we had ICSI where they actually inject the sperm into the egg.
Fine. Fine.
So to do it by myself, I probably would have had IVF just because of my age, and it's more likely to be successful.
Thank you for explaining that. No one's ever said it that clearly. Now I get it.
It's amazing how quickly you become like an expert when you're going through this kind of stuff. You're like, okay, what does all this stuff mean?
So you offered him a fertility MOT, but this was before you decided.
Oh no! So this was good. We went to
situation.
Katie's fertility MOT. So she went and had an appointment.
Yeah.
And I was just there, basically as like
just
kind
to
of moral
support
support.
her. Yeah.
But that then turned into, oh, do you want to come and give us a sample, and we'll do this?
It was really. Do you want to
at the
talk about
MOT?
this one?
Yeah, it's fine. I don't mind. Yeah. So
It's
I was like,
strange because my sister and brother-in-law have gone through IVF, and like his example of that situation sounds so uncomfortable.
Oh, I mean, you get
yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
used
you
to
don't
it.
have to
It's
go
very
kind of
strange.
great
We
details.
did 5 cycles of
Yeah.
IVF.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
But yeah, so I kind of went and did the gave him
the
the sample.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. I basically, so I took
This
photos.
is on the same MOT appointment, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took photos of every single room after this. I went into all these donation
Commonly
rooms.
known as the wank room
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
house.
So,
Let's just get it out there.
Yeah.
Right,
So
got
I
it.
took photos of all these rooms and the kind of material they kind of provide for you and all this sort of stuff. And I was
'Cause we
like, and I was
started
sending it to like
off-
my family, just going, look at all this. It's
And I was
mad.
like, do you have this relationship with your family? He's like, yeah, we don't care. I'm like, I don't have this relationship with my family.
But yeah, so that first one was kind of like a bit strange. So you have to provide a sample and you put it into a thing in a bag and then you put it into one of these canisters and you close it up. And you know, like in old supermarkets where they used to have like the vacuum tubes, you put it in one of those and it
And
just
send it up a shoot.
off to a thing.
Oh, so
It's
funny.
just so robotic and sterile and just.
and there's a big difference. So we ended up going private, but because of our age. But the first one was the NHS, and there's a very big difference between donation rooms in the NHS and donation rooms when you go into private.
Touch screens.
Yeah, it's
nice.
great.
Fancy.
For the porn.
Yeah,
Fancy wank
touching.
rooms.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Then you've got like a.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not touching that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure they clean in between.
But
But anyway,
at
yeah,
this
sorry,
point,
this is
what
getting
I
kind of gory.
don't
Yes.
The bit
Okay.
I don't understand was, had you decided at this point that you were going to be the sperm donor?
I think we got to the point where they said we can check for you, and I was
Right,
like, okay,
just
well,
to
we may
see.
as well do it.
Yeah.
Just if this carries on being.
And how long had you been together at this point?
I don't know, because it was really gradual that we had this conversation. And there were various times where we decided that Steve would be the dad and I would have these like, oh my God, what if it doesn't work out moments. He's like, I'm also fine with it if you want to do a sperm donor and not have that commitment to me. I'm like, oh no, it's fine. But I don't feel like there was like a moment where
proper
we had a conversation and he
Yeah.
was like, yes, it was kind of just an evolution of the process that I was going through.
But then obviously we tried naturally, didn't we? So
yeah, we decided that we'd try naturally for a while, but
just save some money.
we knew that it wouldn't work because both of us have like fertility issues. So the fact that I was already doing it and then we then found out that he had fertility issues was actually quite good because he might have met someone else and not been able to have children.
Yeah.
Two birds, one stone.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
And were there moments, like, I guess for both of you, where like that almost excitement takes over? Like, I know the fear, because fear and excitement are sometimes quite equal.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes I personally struggle to figure out, am I scared or am I really excited? So were there moments of like, I'm so fucking scared, but I'm really excited about this?
I'm a real worrier. So I was just mostly nervous, I think. But also about whether it would work or not, because so many times it doesn't work. And I had a friend who did multiple rounds and it never worked for her. And that's really hard. So I tried not to invest too much. I probably tried not to get excited. And I think you really just go with the flow, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
You don't think too far ahead. Like his saying is that's for future Steve to deal with.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which
I
is
love
quite a good way to think about things.
Okay.
Yeah. And did you guys tell anyone at this point that, okay, we're thinking that Steve's going to be the dad?
I think we did, once we knew. Like we told my mum that we were doing IVF together.
Yeah, my family had like basically minute by minute updates on our family chat. Like,
this
is what's happening.
And did anyone like question it?
My mum's like, you know what you're doing. So
Yeah.
And didn't your brother say, are you sure that this is what you want? But like in a big brother kind of, I know I should ask this question.
Yeah.
To check
Yeah,
that
you have to tick the box,
Yeah.
don't you? And
Yeah.
just say, are we okay with this? We're good. Yeah, okay, good.
But yeah, nobody really challenged us. I think my mum was just relieved.
Yeah.
One of my friends was talking about like parenthood, and he's going, yeah, no, he's brilliant because he's got a son. He was like, yeah, no, he's brilliant. He's incredible. Best thing I've ever done. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's hard work, guys.
I know.
So, this is a lovely story.
He said if
but
you've
on the
got
other
any
side
kind of
it
like any ambitions, and if you want to learn to skateboard, like all of this stuff, you need to get out now. Otherwise, like it's all gone after that.
So how was your relationship going then at this point? Were you like, I don't know, it sounds like you just kind of like skipped a whole part.
It needed to go
Yeah.
quickly, but also he had to just come along with me,
Yeah.
and
You
then it
kind of signed
became
up
a
for
thing
it.
that we were doing together rather than a thing
That's
that
so
I was
nice
doing.
because you went from going into something that you thought you were going to have to do alone, and then now you weren't.
Yeah.
How many rounds did you go through?
We
then?
did 5, but so we were having all the tests and stuff, and that took quite a long time mostly because of my medical history, and then we were just ready to go in March 2020, and we all know what happened then. So all fertility treatment was shut down, and it was horrible because it was indefinite. Like we had no idea if it was going to start up again, and I was like, I don't have any time. Like I don't have any time. I was like itchy. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, so you've done all the jabs and all the medical bit.
So we just had to wait, and we had to see what would happen. But then it was after 3 months that they opened up fertility treatment again, and I was knocking on the door like all the way through. I kept ringing the clinic going, you know my situation, you know my age, like we need to be at the front of the queue. We were ready to go. So, I mean, there were lots of restrictions. That was quite funny. So, because they were trying to restrict the number of people going in and out of the clinic. So when you do an egg collection, Steve needs to do his part on the same day.
Yeah, at least be like right on the spot.
Within like a couple of hours of the eggs being extracted from me. But they didn't want that many people in the wank room. So he had to do his bit at home, but it would take us an hour to get, like 50 minutes to get there. And they wanted it there within an hour of it being done. So he had a 10-minute window at home in my flat.
So no pressure.
to do this.
Right.
And then we had to drive it there.
Come on, Steve, come on.
Banging on the door.
Outside, going,
what pressure?
I was thinking I need to keep really calm because if I put too much pressure on him, it might not work.
Well, also, like Katie was telling me this story the night before about this guy, like, just couldn't. And,
I know,
and
there was
it's
a-
a similar
there was
sort
a
of thing, just couldn't do
book.
it. And then he was like really upset and couldn't do all this stuff. I was like,
Yeah, and he
thanks.
couldn't
That's really-
actually do it. And I'm like, they recommended that you freeze some. Do you want to do that? And he's like, no, I think I'll be fine. But then we had to carry it there and keep it warm.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
God.
So
This
basically,
is-
like Katie, like I had it like under my armpit driving.
No, it was between your legs,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then I had to
between my
put it
legs
under my
driving.
arm to carry it in. Because it had to be body temperature.
Do you know what I would have done? I would have gone, this is gross.
Done it in the car.
Well, or in a service station, just stopped off, 10 minutes before.
But it was Harley Street. You can't have a wank in a car on Harley Street.
I mean,
Right,
you can, but
You might get arrested.
you might get arrested, but it's for important reasons.
Exactly. No, this is medical.
Yeah.
Officer.
But yeah.
You were like, are you sure you're okay with the pressure? I was like, I trained all my teenage life for this.
Yeah. I've got this.
Oh my God.
Did it affect your relationship at any point, do you feel? Because I know it can
I think
do.
it just kind of cemented everything, didn't it, really? Because we're just going through it together. Like, you've got to kind of...
And we balance each other out quite well, because I really worry and he doesn't at all. And sometimes I'm like, I need you to just not go, it's going to be fine.
Can you worry just a little bit, please? Yeah.
But like this morning on the way here, I was like, oh, Jack's not slept and is he going to be grumpy? And we had to leave the dog barking because the daycare couldn't pick her up straight away. And he's like, I can feel you spiraling. And I
not do that.
Yeah. So you would help me stop spiraling, mostly, I think.
And how was it when you found out that it had finally worked?
You laughed out loud.
How did you find it? How is that process? What do they do? Do they email?
So they give you a date
call?
when you can test. So you have the embryo transfer, and then I think it's like something like 10 or 13 days or something.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, it's like the famous 2-week wait. And then, you do a pregnancy test. So we bought the tests and the dog was on the end of the bed, and I went and did it, and we came back and we sat and watched it. And then it was pregnant, and you laughed out loud. I remember that. And we're like, all right, here we go. But then I was terrified it wouldn't last or stick. And I had bleeding and thought that was the end. And obviously it wasn't, because we've got Jack. But, it's a roller coaster for people to go through.
Well, here you are now. I love that. What a success story.
Yeah, it's so nice to hear. Wow. Like, it feels like you've just been through so much and now you have this beautiful little baby child.
Let's
bring it back in.
He's amazing.
Well, thank you so much for telling us your story. I think there'll be so many people out there that will be thinking about either doing the solo parenting like you considered, and maybe thinking that would mean then that they can't date. And, if you meet the right person, that's 100% not true. So congrats.
Thank
you guys. Thanks for sharing with us.
Lovely to chat.
Give him back.
Where is he?
You two are nice and everything, but...
Thanks for listening, guys. And while you're at it, I know you've got your phones open. So you see that little follow button, hit it now. And whilst you're there, you might as well leave us a really nice review.
From Podimo and 2020, this has been First Dates Podcast, hosted by me, Frankie Bridge.
And me, Cece Coleman.
The producers are Blondine Hogue and Fionn Lewis.
The video producer is Rob Walsh. The executive producers for Podimo are Jake Chudnow and Matt White. The executive producer for 2020 is Martin Tricky.
Special thanks to Bruna Pias, Kendra Steeb and Fatima Patea.
For ad-free episodes, subscribe to Podimo UK on Apple Podcasts.